morning. Just getting started here, leaving Cumberland, Maryland. I'm going to turn the camera around in a second so you can see what we're headed into today. We're going up to 2,000 feet into this. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been on flat ground for a day or two now. I'm kind of excited to get up a little higher, have a little bit more variance in the kind of work that the legs are doing. So I'll check in with you a little bit later. For now, let me just find this first push and get over it.
All right, so this was a really pretty fun day. When you look at the elevation profile of this day, it was kind of like what I expect to see in the Rockies, where you're going about 2,000 feet in about 18 to 20 miles, but the grade is very consistent. So while my overall speed was pretty slow, we were looking at 1 to 2% grade the entire time, and that actually made it kind of fun. You kind of start to forget that you're going uphill until you see views like this, where all of a sudden you realize that you're way high up above everything. And the landscape started to change a little bit. Things got a little bit windier. You really felt like you were in the mountains. Here's another one of these tunnels. These tunnels were super fun. They were really dark. You can't get a sense of how dark they were with this video. And I believe this was the last tunnel. This is the Big Savage Tunnel. It was pretty dark. It was pretty long. It was really, really beautiful. I love the proportions of the entrance and the exit on this tunnel. And if my memory is right, when you get out of this tunnel, we were pretty much at the Continental Divide. Yeah, and here is the marking of the Eastern Continental Divide. This day had a lot of these really big, beautiful vistas. As the old train tracks cut around the edges of these mountains, they made these really beautiful U-shapes and overlooked all of these gorgeous valleys. Had a great lunch at this place. It was a short stop, but it was really pretty tasty. Here's one of the big bridges. I believe they might be viaducts, but really long bridges to keep this grade going over some deep valleys, some roads or streams below. My previous set of gloves wore out, so I had to buy these new gloves at a bike shop somewhere in Maryland. This was the big long viaduct. The wind direction changed dramatically, and this one, I don't know, felt kind of Harry Potter-like. A big, long valley, really, really high up. And then, of course, we get into these forests where we're cutting through some rock and stuff. Really fun.
Good morning. No idea what day this is, but I just woke up on a chilly morning in the town of Rockwood, Pennsylvania. Last night I stayed at a really cool hostel. I was actually the only person there, so they had 12 beds in a shared room, and I was the only person, so it was basically like having an ultra cheap, massive hotel room all to myself. Had dinner at a local bar, and dinner, just so you guys know, was jalapeno poppers and lemonade. So when I'm eating out, I'm not eating out healthy. There's something about those fried carbs that are really calling my name. But this morning, of course, I'm having my healthy banana and oatmeal and stuff like that. So I'm headed towards Confluence and Ohiopyle, and hopefully tonight Connellsville, maybe even further, not quite sure. This part of the trail is pretty easy, pretty fun, but there might be a lot of cool stuff to see, so you never know how far I can make it. I'm hoping for arrival at Pittsburgh on Friday night. After Pittsburgh, I'm going to be heading into road cycling on West Virginia, Ohio, and Indiana. If I make it that far, no promises. But anyway, I'm going to get back on the road. It is really nice to be waking up this early to a chill and to some light fog on the ground. It looks like it's going to be pretty sunny. So I'm going to try to get back on the bike, get as many miles in as I can, and we'll see how we do.
Alright, so this stretch to Ohiopyle, this, with the exception of something you'll hear later, this was the most fun day I've had so far. We're coming down from the Alleghenies and got to get real close to some of these beautiful rivers and streams. Saw lots of wildlife. I got to stick my feet in the water here, and I got to put my hands in the aero bars and just cruise through all these beautiful rock valleys. I was also really loving the cool weather on this day, but ultimately, at least the first half of this day was fast, easy, beautiful. It was everything we wanted.
All right, good morning. So a few little updates. Yesterday was so fun. Fastest average speeds. The landscape was beautiful. I got to put my feet in the water. It was just great all around. It was probably like one of the most fun days. And then I came into the town of Ohiopyle, which is actually like pretty cute, pretty neat. Had some vegetarian food options. Like it's not my first time here, but I was really looking forward to sitting down and having lunch. And something really crappy happened. Of all things, I stepped off of a curb weird and twisted my ankle, folded it all the way over. Felt like I heard a snap. Immediately all the worst thoughts came through my head, like what if this trip ends because of me stepping off of a stupid 3-inch curb in a weird way. And after going through all of the worst thoughts, I decided that probably the smartest thing would be, instead of going out on a 17-mile wilderness bike ride with a hurt ankle, that maybe I should just get a room here for the night, elevate it, and ice it all night. And so that's what I did. Really comfortable little hostel here in Ohiopyle. And pretty much all I did was just keep that foot elevated, ice it, and watch TV. All in all, it was a pretty nice break. Woke up this morning. It is still tender. I'm limping. It definitely doesn't really want to have weight put on it, but I think that I can ride a bike pretty easily. We'll see. It's 17 miles to Confluence, which is the next town. I think by then I'll have a pretty good idea of how sustainable this is, because I really, really, really don't want to end this tour on something so dumb like this. And for those of you who have known me for a while, have known that I've broken one of my ankles twice and folded it a bunch. Yes, it was the same ankle that I always hurt. So it's just like a real butthead of an ankle, and that sucks. So anyway, I'll show you guys the view. It's just lovely over here. To give you some sense of how pretty it is, I was unable to fly the drone at all yesterday. I really wanted to, but pretty much every 500-600 feet there was another fly fisherman, and I didn't want to fly a noisy drone over fly fishermen. But really, for 30 miles this river was filled with fly fishermen. For anybody who knows Ohiopyle, this is one of the, I think one of the best whitewater rafting, I don't know, some kind of rafting areas in the country. So pretty much the whole industry here is like rafting outfitters and stuff, and obviously this bike trail running through here is also a big industry. So yeah, beautiful fly fishermen, hurt ankle. Sorry for no drone stuff, but the very last thing I want to do is upset any birds or fishermen or do anything that disrupts the pristineness of this landscape, which is really just pretty exceptional. All right, see you guys.
So I headed out this morning with pretty much a lot of uncertainty. I know in the last clip I sounded pretty confident, but I really had no idea how this ankle was going to hold up on a stretch of road, and really the only promise I made to myself was to get to Confluence, which is that first 17-mile leg. But weird things happen, and I just got an energy in me and made a push, and this ended up being the most productive day of the entire tour, at least so far. I think I hit 75, maybe 76 miles on the day. And I'm also going to let you in on a little secret. Not a secret, but I am pretty much just filming the stuff that I think is really pretty and really beautiful. If I'm struggling, or if I'm tired, or if there are some massive hills, or even if it's a section of trail or road that is not super attractive, odds are I am not going to have the energy to pull out a camera and document it. So as you're watching these videos, when you start seeing stuff like what is going to happen as soon as I start getting closer to Pittsburgh, so when you start seeing, not a lot of footage of this section of the trail, odds are I was either struggling, mentally feeling down, or the roadway or the experience was just not that pretty. So this first part of the day, I was in the forest and it was gorgeous and I was happy and I was hauling ass. But as we get closer to Pittsburgh, I'm starting to feel tired, burning up, it's hot, the road starts getting kind of crappy, and all of the scenery started to get very industrial and steely and coaly and all of those things that you might expect when you close your mind and imagine, Pittsburgh or the Ohio River Valley.
All right, guys, a pretty loud fountain here. I'm not sure you can hear me, but I thought I'd give you an update since the last time we talked. Obviously, I'm here. I made it to Pittsburgh. So while the ankle that I hurt in Ohiopyle still is a little tender, turns out riding a bike actually makes it feel kind of better. That straight motion kind of loosens everything up, and by the middle of the day, I'm just feeling pretty good. It's mostly when I'm like waking up at night where it's like, oh. So the last time I talked to you guys, I was going to see how far I could make it out of Ohiopyle on that injured ankle, and as it turns out, I had the longest, most productive day of the whole trip. I went 75 miles, pushed to my friend Henry's house here in Pittsburgh, and then yesterday just spent the whole day with those guys, hanging out, eating really good food, snuggling with a puppy. Had a great rest day. We saw all the sights, we went to the markets, bought some cheese, bought some pickles, and then had dinner at an unbelievable vegan restaurant last night called Apteca, which was so tasty. So today, it's a bit more of a mystery, not quite sure how much I can accomplish. I have to make it over the big hills west of Pittsburgh, and then hopefully into West Virginia, or definitely I'll make it to West Virginia today. But the question is how far into West Virginia. There are no campgrounds and there's very few hotels, so I have to kind of play it smart, maybe cut the day short, or decide whether or not I have it in me to push really hard and make it a long distance, because the hotel scene is a little bit weird. It's also going to be significantly hillier than the last couple pushes I've had on the Gap and the C&O trail. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to enjoy this view here in Pittsburgh, right here at the point. Yeah, just see how far we can make it today. Check in a little bit later on. All right, bye.
All right, and so just like I mentioned before, this was one of those days where it was a struggle. Getting up out of Pittsburgh was hard, and there wasn't that much to look at. If you're doing this trip, I don't want to discourage you, but just be prepared that the area called the West Virginia Panhandle didn't have all that much sort of natural beauty on offer, at least not on the roads that I was taking. What they did have on offer was an enormous amount of ultra steep hills. And so I pretty much didn't film any of that struggle to get me to this place here, which is the Ohio River that I crossed over to get to one of the only hotel rooms available. There were no campgrounds available. And the next morning, I left Steubenville, crossed that bridge to get back to West Virginia, and then started on what I had always been thinking was going to be the hardest leg of this entire journey, at least the hardest leg east of the Mississippi, and that was getting down to Wheeling, West Virginia, and then trying to climb out of the Ohio River Valley to get on my way towards Columbus. And that has proven and continues to prove to be the hardest thing I've encountered on this whole trip. So as I sit here in a nice air-conditioned room, keep in mind that I am not out of the Ohio River Valley and that I am still struggling. The sun and the hills are really taking a toll on me, but we will find out how I made out in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.